The Relatives is a fabulous episode of the Doris Day Show. This is the 13th episode of the first season, directed by Harry Falk, and it aired originally on December 31st, 1968. And LeRoy and Buck and the children are off camping, I believe, and Doris and Juanita decide to take the time to redecorate the house. And things seem to be getting off to a great start until three Simpsons turn up. Those are LeRoy's cousins. These are Albert, Herman, and Edgar Simpson. And I love the description from IMDb. I read the description before I watched this, and it made me so excited to see what this was like. The description says, compared to the rest of his family, LeRoy is actually the smart one. And I thought, okay, they have a lot of fun with making LeRoy out to be not that intelligent, not that bright, but very helpful and kind and giving. And I really thought, how far are they going to take it with these cousins? And honestly, it's absolutely fantastic. The three characters, they had to get that right. The narrative itself of painting the house is, I mean, it's interesting enough, but it's hardly gripping. Most of the entertainment comes from the characters themselves. They had to get that right, they had to get the casting right, and they had to get the characters the way they were written spot on. And honestly, they absolutely did. They're played by Robert Easton, Dennis Fimple, and Alan Suze, and they are brilliant. They are like heightened versions of LeRoy. They are very willing to help. They're very generous with their time. Because LeRoy wasn't there, so they could have just gone on their way and not seen their cousin. But they decided to stop and help out, and in doing so, anything that they could have got wrong did. I'm not going to go into any detail really about the things that happened, but I will say that it was usually Doris Martin, of course, the character played by Doris Day, who got the brunt of their so-called helping. And visually, it's fantastic. There are a lot of visual gags. There's some really great acting, overacting in certain cases, which works very well for these characters. And it was incredibly unpredictable. Very funny and unpredictable. That's an amazing combination. And the characters themselves were fabulous. Everything about this worked beautifully. Really thoroughly enjoyed it. I would have liked the boys to have been around, Billy and Toby. I think had they been there, it might have even been a little bit funnier. But because they weren't there, it meant we could focus mostly on Albert, Herman, and Edgar and the kind of calamities they were causing. Had a lot of fun with it. Very, very messy episode. Well, they're decorating, so you can imagine the kinds of substances and things that are in the house that they can cause trouble with. Unintentionally, they are lovely, lovely people, but definitely not somebody you'd want to have around when decorating. Easily the most fun episode so far, I think. I don't know if it's the funniest. There are some that I think maybe have better dialogue, but this one definitely in terms of visual gags and just how silly and ludicrous it is. The Relatives is a lot of fun. Great barrel of laughs. It doesn't surprise me to say that I really thoroughly enjoyed it. When I read the description, I had very high hopes. It's probable that it exceeded my expectations. The Relatives is an absolute delight.